Here we go, week 3 of No Gate Fees, season 1, episode 3, as we like to say, and we're going to get right into it because we have no time to waste on this show. We'll have our high five power poll. We've got some new teams in softball and baseball here in the Northeast Florida area after a week of ball. And we'll also have committed to the uncommitted on the baseball side. Listen, softballers, we need some seniors that still want to play. And I know it's late in the game. We knew we could get this. We might not be 12 softball players, even baseball players, because it's late and some have already committed or said, hey, we're not playing anymore. But if you're still interested in playing ball at the next level, we want to try to get you some love. And so we will try to do that. But we need some nominees on the softball side. Baseball, we've got guys all over the place still trying to play at the next level that haven't been committed yet or given up on the dream of playing college baseball. So we'll continue to recognize some of our nominees. And again, a scholarship awaits both a baseball player and a softball player at the end of this No Gate Fees season here in season 1. We'll have a couple of coaches on from Oak Leaf High School, Matt Carter, Randalyn Bryant from West Nassau softball. So we'll talk some local ball with the coaches. And then always on the show, we have a central theme. And the theme on today's show is not Arden Key feels disrespected. You might see that in the title. Instead, it is all about recruiting, camps, showcases, social media. Those 3 things. There's a lot of different levels of recruiting, right? But how much do the camps help, the showcases help, the social media help? And listen, this is something as a show host on this show, I wonder. This is something as somebody in the media who covers it, I wonder. This is someone as a parent, I wonder. And that's kind of some of the premise of this. We understand that some of the big-time athletes, they are going to get recognition, and they are going to be easier to find. You throw 95 miles an hour, somebody's going to probably find you. Probably see you at a tournament. People are going to talk. They can see, and maybe it is a piece of video, that radar gun. Some probably do lie, but not all of them do lie. And so you're going to get a look and then maybe an offer and end up at a place. But there's a lot of kids out there trying to play ball that's not how they get recruited. They're maybe not in that top 1%, 2%, whatever percent it is. And so it's a different road to get recruited. And, you know, again, we live in this world a lot. We ask a lot of coaches and talk to coaches. And even in the last couple of days, I've been talking to people and asking like college coaches that I know that are at all different levels, Division I, II, JUCO, softball, baseball. How does this work? Like, how do you get kids? And there's a bunch of different ways that how people do get their kids committed to their school and how they find them from a recruiting standpoint. There are so many people that play sports in college and in high school that want to play at the next level. How do you weed through all that? Well, that's why we have misses in recruiting, right? Because some people are kind of left behind or not looked at or late bloomers or whatever it might be. But this specifically is about how much do camps and showcases and really social media help, because I've actually turned on this subject, and this is not just baseball and softball related. This is any sport that's in college. But again, we see it in the baseball and softball world more than I do, say, in the lacrosse world or basketball world or anything else, because that's kind of where my kids are, and that's where we're living right now in that context. But I've turned on this a little because I was like, what are we doing with all these tweets about, like, look at this kid swing, or look at I got a base hit today, or I hit a double today, and I was like, what are we doing? Why? There's no way this is working. Like, how are you getting recruited off this? And I'm a little critical more of like the perfect game folks, again, in the baseball world, that will put a kid's swing on there and like it's a foul ball. What are we doing? But then there are those kids that are actually staying on social media, showing what they're doing, workouts, successes, growing, over the years, and they're tagging coaches and other people. And I'm like, does this work? And the answer I found out is, yeah, it does work more than I believed in the past. And so that's why I think this is kind of a fun topic, because I wasn't really a big believer in it. And one of the things that's really changed it from a social media standpoint is coming out of COVID. This might have been a thing a little bit before going into COVID. It's become a big thing coming out of COVID, because one coach told me even a year ago or a couple years ago when I asked the question, do you read these emails? Do you see these tweets like you're being tagged in? And they said, Well, right now in COVID, it's the only thing that we can look at because we're not allowed to go out there and recruit. So at least we get a sense of something and have a base to work off and maybe look into a kid because of that. That was like a way of recruiting during COVID. Well, I think some of that is stuck. And I think people have learned how to do it as well and do it well and tag coaches and find the right people. So I think social media works more coming out of COVID than it probably did going into it. And, of course, we all know this. Social media can work against you. Certainly can work against you if you don't tweet the right things or say the right things on Instagram or TikTok or wherever else you are. You got to be careful. And we have countless examples of that. We seemingly have countless examples of that each and every month, even locally here in Northeast Florida. But across the country, you can find those examples of somebody messing up on social media. But the bottom line is showcasing yourself and promoting yourself on social media actually does help. And that's what a lot of coaches will tell you. Now, showcases. You better be able to stand out. Like, I know this. My kids going to showcases wouldn't matter. They're not 6'4". They don't run a 6'5", 60. They don't hit 400-foot home runs, and they don't throw 95. So why go to a showcase? It wouldn't make sense. In fact, I was told by a coach that I know, like, don't go to a showcase if you're not going to show something. There can be a negative side. You can get crossed off a list if you go to a showcase and it doesn't work out well for you. The other one is camps. And this is honestly, I think, the best way. This is me now talking. I think this is the best way to get found. But it also could be an expensive, time-consuming way to get found. And you also have a lot of competition because a lot of people are going to camps. And I know in our family, we've been to some of these camps, and they're really cool because you get up and see the campus. Love that part of it. You can take a campus visit if that's a part of the camp or if you want to set something up separately. You get to see the coach and talk to the coach and know the coach, see what the program's a little bit about. Again, you are there. So you're seeing it on their college campus. Like, I love that part of it. And you also form a relationship, and they get familiar with you if you go enough. There are some camps that I know my kids have been to, and they'll run into somebody who's been to the same camp like 12 times. So some people really believe in this way. But I think you're really killing a lot of birds with one stone if you go to the college camp to see the coach, see what the program's all about, see what the campus looks like. If you get the tour, it's even an added bonus. And you also get to see who else is there and see maybe what they might be looking at. And if things work out well for you, maybe have a good conversation. And who knows if an offer takes place, but you at least have started to develop a relationship. And the other part I love about recruiting in general, the way it's done now, like, there's not always great positives, but I think your kids learn how to talk in that setting, communicate with the coaches. Also, write a thank you letter, write emails, all those things. Like, those are life lessons bigger than they are actual getting scholarships or playing college ball. I mean, those are things that you're going to have to do in life anyway. So I do like that part of it. And I think it really starts with the camps and the emails and getting to know the coaches. I believe that's probably the best way to do it. Now, hasn't worked in my house, but I'm not sure it won't work. We're just not there yet. And I think it's a great way to work. And the best way to kind of combat it and put yourself in a position if you stay after it. So I really like the camps. The social media is obviously an added benefit, and I really don't love the showcases, but I think it depends who you are, and sometimes getting your name on the radar probably does help. And I have had coaches say there are specific showcase events that we really target and look and trust, and this one's really good, so we'll go to it. I think it's to each its own, and there's no blanket deal. That's the thing about it that jumps out to me, is there's no set way for everybody to get recruited. There's not one story. There are a bunch of different stories in how you do it and how you accomplish it. So camp showcases, social media, our big topic today. Do you think it helps in recruiting? Which one helps the most? How do you go about it? And then, of course, there are the travel ball events in high school if people do get recruited in high school still. Here's a couple other things from coaches that I asked about this topic. Everything's on the table. This person said, seeing guys is the most important thing. Reliable coaching sources, scouts, reaching out and referring kids usually has the most credibility. So what does that tell you? Well, your coach in travel ball or high school, if they have connections or you know people that do have connections of a trusted coach, that knows the coach at said university, well, that's going to really aid and benefit because they trust that person. I know specifically of one university here in the state of Florida that like recruits one travel program very heavily, and I don't think that's it. That's in the softball world, and I think a lot of the softball programs in the state and probably outside the state do a very similar thing because they've had success with that program in the past. Another coach said, our camp that we host is a nice recruiting tool for us. We usually sign one kid a season, summer and then winter camp. He said, I like the camps more than going to a big showcase because there's so much mediocrity that it's tough to spot the real talent at the showcases, if that makes sense. A lot has to do with coaches reaching out to us as well, whether it be a high school coach or a travel ball coach. Start to learn who you can trust and have guys that you like to recruit. Other than that, summer ball is the easiest time for us to get out and recruit and see people. And last one. Is kind of longer, but I would say this was from a JUCO coach, and the way people get recruited D1, D2, and JUCO can be very different. And I thought this was interesting. There's post-grad programs. This is from a baseball program that actually offers a lot of ways to get recruited too, like out of the post-grad programs. Those, I don't know how new the post-grad programs are, but there's certainly something to look into, and they're all over the place because I see them popping up on my timeline ever since we started this show. No gate fees presented by Nimnick Buick GMC. Brent Martineau along with Brian Middleton here on a Monday, episode 3. Brian, let me know, we have Coach on?
We do.
Okay, we do. And so let's get to Coach right now, and we'll ask him some of these questions. Matt Carter joins us right now, the Oakleaf coach here on No Gate Fees presented by Nimnick Buick GMC. And, Coach, thanks for taking some time, man. You guys are off to a nice start this year.
Yeah, thank you for having me. We're playing good baseball right now.
Well, you're a guy that came over from Trinity Baptist College. You played at Trinity. How did you get to Trinity? Speaking of recruiting, like how did you find Trinity Baptist College? Give us your story.
Yeah, I grew up playing travel ball in the area, just like everybody from North Florida. And I was playing for Coastal Prospects, and then we had a travel team at Eaglesview where I went to high school. And I was actually being recruited by Edward Waters University. They were Edward Waters College at the time.
Yeah.
And I played on a team that they had, and then suddenly Trinity Baptist College was having their inaugural team that year, and a few of my guys I knew, they knew the coach, and we went for a workout, kind of like what you're talking about, and that was the best chance we had at a camp, and got offered there, and the rest is it.
So now you're helping guys get recruited as a coach at Oakleaf High School, and what do you tell them? Like, what's the best way? Do you I'm talking social media, camps, and showcases, and I know there are other ways, but all three of those have value in your eyes?
Oh, for sure. And each guy's different. I think you said a good point. Each guy has a different, a camp might work for one guy, showcase would work for another. Depends on their skill sets. And, it's important for the guys to know what is best for them. And social media is the consistent for all of it. You can be a showcase guy or a camp guy, but you have to be present on social media for all of them. And we've done a pretty good job of that. And a lot of people in North Florida have too recently.
Then the other part, like how much of this is really word of mouth and networking, and you maybe have a pocket of schools that or again, this doesn't feel like the Power 5 level. The Power 5 level is going to probably find the guy, but everything else, sometimes it's a little bit needle in a haystack, and I got to believe they rely on if you're coaching in the summer ball travel team with the Dodgers scout team, or if you're coaching Oakleaf, and they're going to probably ask you about it, or you've got to tell somebody about said kid, right?
Oh, 100%. Just me personally, I haven't been in the game as long as some of these other coaches that have been doing it for a long time. But I have a circle of about 10 coaches. They're not Power 5, but they're Division II, NAIA, JUCO. They trust what I say and my input, and it's taken a while to, anybody I recommend to them or say, hey, this guy can really play, they're going to have their eyes on him. So just imagine guys who've been doing it longer. Tom Lucas, Mike Boswell, some of those names, like you said, having a coach who's trusted, it goes a long way for sure.
Well, tell us more about your Oakleaf program. You guys, you've been there 2 years now, and you're off to an 8-1 start. You were in our High Five Power Poll last week, 16-9 last year. And I just feel like you're a little bit sleeping on people, maybe a little bit of a sleeping giant. You guys have a lot of talent, but I don't remember people talking about Oakleaf coming into the season that much, Coach.
Yeah, and we kind of liked it that way. I knew
Sorry.
I knew we had an older team coming back. Last year we only had 6 seniors, and most of the team was coming back. So that last summer we really hit it hard in fall, and we just said, hey, our experience is going to pay off. So let's put in the work, and let's try to do the best that we can with the little details, and we'll have more games in our favor than not.
Well, we featured Devin Outlaw last week. Obviously, he's a guy that we're trying to help get recruited a little bit and get some attention because 4.4, 105 exit velo. He was uncommitted to the uncommitted last week, and hopefully we shine some light on a young man that seems to belong on a college diamond somewhere. But what else do you have? What else is helping you get off to this 8-1 start?
To be honest, what's helped us the most so far has been our pitching. We have a couple of 2024s that have been pitching really well. One of them is Jordan Clark. He's mid to upper 80s, pounds the strike zone. He threw, 6 2/3 scoreless against Bowles, and he's been throwing really well. But another one's Landon McDonald. He's been pitching really well. And, if our guys are throwing around 70% strikes, that gives us a pretty good chance, along with our, older outfielders and committed guys. That gives us some good balance.
You guys have a big test coming up Wednesday, I think, right? St. John's Country Day. How do you view that game? I mean, they're obviously very good. You guys look like you're good. Is it just a good early season measuring stick to kind of tell you where you're at?
Yeah, this is a big one for our guys because a lot of our guys are good friends with, players on St. John's Country Day. Obviously, I work with Coach Tom in the off season with the Dodgers. So this is one that I think both of us have had circled. We're looking forward to it. It's definitely it's a test, but our guys want to win. It's not just hey, let's see how well we can play. No, we want to win, so that's what we're going to go for, and they're going to do the same.
How important right now in the landscape of baseball and the Max Preps rankings and the postseason is it to schedule these games? Like, what's the balance? How hard is it to put together your schedule to say, all right, we want to play good teams, but we also need W's? Like, there seems like there's a balance there right now for a lot of teams, both baseball and softball in the area.
Oh, for sure. It's definitely, there's a lot more planning that goes into it than before. In the past, you would kind of play guys that you're familiar with. We'll do a home and home, and we'll just do this, that, and the other. But now you really have to plan about, what's this team's record going to be this week in the season? Or because each week when these rankings come out, it has district seeding implications, and after districts, it has regional seeding implications. So even if you get bounced in the first round of districts, I mean, if you have a good record in regular season, you could be in that large bid. So that's all about your seeding. That's all about your scheduling, and you got to win each game. Each game has to be win or go home.
Matt Carter, Oakleaf High School baseball coach, and off to an 8-1 start. Give us an idea how good Clay is. You played them, and I know they've got good strength of schedule right now. I think in the Max Preps rankings, they're pretty high up. That was a good early season test. And what do you think about Clay so far?
Yeah, that game was a really good game. It was 2-0 into the fifth, and then they stayed the course. I think they had a good game plan going in. And they're well coached, and they're disciplined, and they took advantage in key situations. And I think that's going to be how they are all year. They're going to pitch well, they're going to play defense well, but then they're going to be opportunistic at the plate. Whether if they need to get a squeeze down, hit by pitch, they're going to rely on their pitching and their defense. Just from what I've seen, and I think that's playoff baseball, and that's a team that can be pretty good down the stretch.
Matt Carter, Oakleaf High School baseball coach. Thanks for jumping in for a few minutes. Continued success. Looks like you get Santa Fe tomorrow, then St. John's Country Day, and then a 3-game week with Ponte Vedra concluding things, if that's what the schedule still looks like on Friday. So good luck the rest of the way, and thanks for joining us on No Gate Fees tonight.
All right. Thank you for having me.
That is Matt Carter, young coach over at Oakleaf High School, doing a nice job. They had like 6 wins, I think, before he got there, and 16 wins last year, already off to an 8-1 start this year. So doing a nice job with the Oakleaf program. A lot of talent out at Oakleaf and, of course, around the entire area. We'll see if they stay in our High Five Power Poll as we've got some teams moving around now that we get a little deeper into the season. Some teams playing on spring break, some not playing on spring break. So we'll update that for you coming up here on No Gate Fees, presented by Nimnik Buick GMC. And don't forget, we have our iCryo chat chamber. So jump in on YouTube and on Twitter, on Facebook, anywhere, and join the iCryo chat chamber on our big topic of the day, but you can really have anything going. It's mostly today about recruiting. Showcases, camps, social media. How much does it help? Tell us your story. Share the story. If you're a coach, is that where you recruit? If you're a student athlete who has already played at college, is that how you got recruited? If you're a student athlete trying to get recruited, do you use any of those platforms to try to get it done? The conversation goes on well past the show as well. So anytime you want to bring it up on social media, no gate fees. Might be an hour show here on Monday nights, but we try to make it more of a week-long endeavor if you want to jump in on the conversation anytime. Let's take a break, Brian, if we can. No gate fees coming back. And when we come back, committed to the uncommitted, we'll be joined by Randalyn and Bryant as well from West Nassau softball. And still to come, our high five power polls in both baseball and softball as we welcome spring on actually a chilly day here in Northeast Florida. Brent Martin, O'Brien, Middleton, no gate fees on ESPN 690.
Now, the First Alert forecast on ESPN 690.
Chilly tonight under mostly clear skies. A 7 on the WOKV weather meter, dropping into the low to mid-40s. Your Tuesday will be partly cloudy and breezy with a brief shower or two, especially closer to the coast, and highs in the upper 60s. From the First Alert Weather Center, I'm Action News Jack's Chief Meteorologist Mike Burrish for 104.5 WOKV.
The Weather Center is brought to you by Beards Diamonds. Now get 0% interest for 5 years with nothing down.
It's March Madness at Nimnik Buick GMC on Phillips Highway. This month, all new vehicle purchasers get 5 shots from the free throw line. Each shot you make is worth $100 off your new vehicle. That's up to $500 off. Stop by the showroom. Shoot and save. Nimnik Buick GMC is Jacksonville's #1 Buick GMC dealer. It's where my family has bought 6 vehicles. The latest one in December. Never pay over MSRP. NimnikBuickGMC.com. GMC. We are professional grade.
Are you getting engaged? Celebrating an anniversary or birthday?
You're in luck. It's Beards Diamonds' most exceptional finance offer of the year.
5 years, 0% financing with nothing down.
Yes. How about a $6,000 three-stone designer setting?
You pay only $100 a month.
Or a $4,500 one-carat diamond solitaire pendant necklace.
You pay just $75 a month. But hurry, it's only available for a limited time.
Shop now at BeardsDiamonds.com or at the St. John's Town Center.
Don't buy anywhere until you shop Beards Diamonds.
Finding great candidates to hire can be like, well, trying to find a needle in a haystack, but not with ZipRecruiter. Its powerful technology actively finds and invites qualified candidates to apply to your job. So while other companies might deliver a lot of hay, ZipRecruiter finds you the needle in the haystack.
See why 4 out of 5 employers who post a job on ZipRecruiter get a quality candidate within the first day. Try ZipRecruiter for free at ZipRecruiter.com/free. That's ZipRecruiter.com/free.
Mr. Clean, Mr. Clean. I hate the struggle of tough, greasy messes on my stovetop. So I just freak, wipe, and I'm done.
When I'm frustrated with stubborn bathtub soap scum, I just freak, wipe, and I'm done.
Mr. Clean Clean Freak delivers an innovative cleaning experience with a powerful deep cleaning mist that starts working on contact to break down tough messes in seconds.
Just freak,
wipe,
done.
My milkshake brings all the boys to the yard, and they're like, it's better than yours.
Spilled your milkshake? Quick, the quicker picker upper. Bounty picks up spills quicker. And each sheet is 2 times more absorbent, so you can use less than the leading Ordinary brand. So you can get back to your milkshake.
My milkshake brings all the boys to the yard, and they're like, it's better than yours.
Bounty, the quicker picker upper.
You're invited to shop at the White Harvest Farms and Farmers Market every Saturday from 10 a.m. to 2 p.m. It's a market of fresh and affordable farm-to-table produce that comes from a 10.5-acre urban located at 4850 Moncrief Road. There's volunteering, classes, and farming demonstrations. Also, if you're interested in becoming a vendor or volunteer, call 904-354-4162 or visit the White Harvest Farms Eventbrite page. White Harvest Farms wants to be your favorite produce market. This initiative benefits the Clara White Mission.
Listen to ESPN 690 anytime, anywhere, on any device. Whether you're at home or on the go, get the latest on the Jags, FSU, the Jumbo Shrimp, and Action Sports Jacks on Odyssey.com. That's AUDACY.com or on ESPN690.com.
Welcome back to No Gate Fees with Brent Martineau, presented by Nimnik Buick GMC.
Hey, here we go on Monday nights. No gate fees. Presented by Nimnick Buick GMC. Brent Martin, O'Brien, Middleton in tonight. For keeping score at home, Middleton's now been a part of 2 out of the 3 shows. Casey Kurtz, who said he was going to be part of this show, doesn't ever show up, I guess. We got you, Middleton.
Never. He never shows up.
I know. He's like all over the place.
Overtime.
Overtime with Kurtz and Middleton every day at 6 o'clock, or maybe with just Middleton. Brent and Friends, 3 p.m. until 6 p.m. We have busy Mondays around here, but you can join us on ESPN 690 each and every day from 3 to 7 with local programming, of course. A big question we have out there today is basically about recruiting. Do you use social media to recruit? Coaches, players, showcases, camps. How does that work? We have the iCryo chat chamber. It's alive and well, so jump in on YouTube and Facebook and other places. And speaking of iCryo, down St. Johns County, the pavilion at Durbin Park. You can also always check them out at iCryo.com. 6 services for $99 to the student pass. How about that? 6 for $99, 16 for $179. That's a good deal. Save a lot of money. Whole body cryotherapy, compression therapy, infrared sauna, 360-degree red light therapy, local cryofacial. We know a lot of student athletes down in the area that use the cryotherapy to heal and recover, and there's a lot of modern science about it. Check it out at iCryo.com. iCryo down in St. Johns County at the pavilion at Durbin Park. And we are getting ready to go to our Committed to the Uncommitted here on the show. Speaking of the iCryo chat chamber, though, did get a text in. Need to be invited to those camps to get real opportunity if you're not paying the volunteer his money. So basically saying if you go to camps, go to the camps that you're being invited to. The only thing I would say about that, at least living in it right now, is are you supposed to just wait for somebody to give you a call and tell you to come to a camp?
No, you can't do that. I'm sorry, Brent, but you can't do that.
But if you just sit there and wait for it, are you ever going to get it? And so sometimes you got to force the issue. And I'll tell you something else about the camps, Brian, and I'm glad you jumped in on that because there's no rhyme or reason to this stuff. We kind of live it right now, and people have lived through it, and everybody's got a different story and experience. I think, at least in my experience so far, the softball camps are way better than the baseball camps. Like, way better. And so this...
Wait, why?
Well, I'll tell you why. But this comment came from a baseball guy that I know that on the iCryo chat chamber. And I probably agree more on that front about being invited because basically what a lot of the camps do is they just do what you would do at a showcase. They run a 60. They see how fast you can throw from the infield, outfield. They see if you can hit it 400 feet with a couple of swings in the cage. Now, we've been to a couple, and I've seen some that have, like, the game being played. So you can actually see game action, and there's an inter-squad type scrimmage. I thought that was good, and I do think that's good. Then on the softball side, you ask why it's better. Because, one, there's a whole bunch of energy around the camp. Like, it doesn't feel like it's like this showcasey tryout. It feels like they're trying to tell you what their atmosphere is all about, too. And also, there's this great opportunity after that this is, again, at the softball camps that we've been to, every young lady there talks to the coaching staff after. Like, so you might be there for, like, whatever, 3, 4, 5, 6 hours, and then the last hour of it is basically usually taking a picture for social media with the coach, but also you have a chance to have a conversation with the coach.
Wow.
What do you look for? Like, what do you want in a recruit? You know, how many pitchers or first baseman or outfield are you looking for in the 2023 class or 25 class?
Yeah.
So you get to actually have conversations. And like I've said earlier in the show, like that part of it to me is fantastic for life experience. Like you have to put yourself in a position to talk to an adult and somebody that might recruit you or might not recruit you and ask them questions. So that actually puts you in like an interview kind of atmosphere and setting. And I think that's great. And I think the softball seems to, at least at this point, in my experience that I've been to and seen, and some not just with my kids, but seen others, I think that's the better way to do it right now. Like the softball seems to be more advantageous. And I don't know if that's the case with lacrosse camps and basketball camps and other camps, but I'd be curious to know, like, what's your experience like, and do you get something out of it? I will say we've been to some camps that doesn't feel like you get much out of, and then other camps that you do. But either way, you do get to go see that campus, and you get to see if you like the campus and where it's at. And I think that's a big part of it, right? If you could go, can I see myself here for the next 4 years?
Oh, yeah.
So at the very least, you're getting that.
Absolutely, man. Wow.
Do we have Coach on?
We do not have Coach on.
Okay, well, let's, before we get Coach on, and I might have to double check. I'm going to pass along the number because I might not have done that to Coach Bryant. So I just sent it to her. But that's okay because we've got Committed to the Uncommitted. Presented by Davoli's House of Cards and Nimnick Buick GMC and iCryo, as well as we're going to give out scholarships here at the end of this show on no gate fees, later in May once we get through these 12 weeks of our show. And today, our Committed to the Uncommitted is a young man who transferred from Bartram Trail to St. Joseph Academy, Mark Avelo. And Eric Hurley sharing this young man with us and had a lot of nice things to say about him. He's a middle infielder for St. Joseph Academy. He's a 2023. Obviously, that's who we're trying to highlight. He's a senior. They call him junior. So he is a senior, but they call him junior. Has tremendous hands, according to Coach Hurley, hitting .353 through the first 6 games. Those numbers might have changed a little bit. Definitely a top defender, advanced baseball IQ. On the field, on the bases, knows how to play the game, loves working on the craft day in, day out. As a senior, leading the team into a very tough part of the schedule. They're not afraid to play anybody down there for St. Joseph, facing quality competition every game. Kid can flat out play. And this is a great opportunity to punch home the fact that a guy like Eric Hurley, who knows baseball in the area, who's been around travel programs, who's been a first-round pick in the Major League Baseball draft, those are people that in a guy like Mark Avelo's situation can pick up the phone and be like, listen, guy might not jump out with you with 6'4" or everything else, but here's why you might like the guy. And I think that's why the networking and the communication and everything else sometimes even trumps what we're talking about today in the recruiting world, which is social media, showcases, camps, and maybe some of the normal methods of being recruited. And maybe we can ask our next guest about that as well. But let's put a bow. Committed to the Uncommitted, 2023 infielder, Mark Avelo, St. Joseph Academy. Let's get him some love and get some of the coaches maybe dialing up Eric Hurley down there at St. Joseph Academy and asking a little bit more about Mark Avelo. Did get a chance to see him play, by the way. He's a very good player, and we know a little bit of the name from being down there in the St. Johns County area. So Mark Avelo, 2023, St. Joseph Academy. Now we welcome in Randalyn Bryant, West Nassau softball coach, and she knows everything about softball in the area. So we're about to get all the answers. West Nassau off to a very nice start. They were in our top 5 high 5 power poll. We'll see if they stay there this week. Coach Bryant, thanks for taking a few minutes. How was practice today?
Oh, we're still going at it, and it's freezing, but it's good.
Let them go, Coach. It's freezing out there. This is like Rhode Island softball and baseball today, not Florida.
No, it's not fun, but it has to be done.
You guys have a busy week and a big week, right? Going down to, I don't know if you're in Melbourne, but you're playing Melbourne. Where are you guys headed?
We are headed to Melbourne tomorrow night. It's the only game we have spring break, but we are at Melbourne.
All right, then they're good. So that will be a good test. You guys are not afraid to schedule a hard schedule. And why do you do that? Obviously, the max prep situation kind of presents where you do want to schedule tough teams, but you also got to get W's. What's the balance there, and why have you always scheduled hard?
I feel like the tough losses, even if you go down there and lose, it doesn't necessarily hurt you. I mean, you're going down to play Melbourne. They won a state championship last year. They have the Gatorade Player of the Year, so most likely they're going to finish well. So it doesn't necessarily hurt you. And then Kissimmee, it never hurts. But I think too, it's just the level of competition. I mean, obviously we want to win and do well in postseason, but I'm trying to set the kids up for later in life too, and play at a higher level. Not just get the W. So it's about that too, showing up and competing.
Yeah, and you guys have done a great job of that. Are you guys where you thought you would be so far this season with Peyton Bass coming back in the circle and some of the players that you have, or have you been a little bit better than you thought?
It depends on the day. It's female. So some days we're great. Some days we're not so great. But, I have to say this group, they will show up and they always compete. And that's what I ask of them. Is to do that. So I can't complain. I've got a good group. I've got a great leader, Peyton Bass. I've always said she's like the poster child for West Nassau softball. I can't say enough good things about her and her work ethic and leadership. She's just an absolutely wonderful human on top of a good player. So it's always good to have a Peyton Bass on your side.
I think if you know softball in the area, everybody knows your name and your family, and big Gator fans, of course, mom and dad, but also you guys have been involved in softball forever, your entire family. I know you played at First Coast and Terry Parker, then obviously UNF, and now out in Callahan, and done a terrific job with the program. How much has softball kind of changed over the years? I mean, is it better? Is it deeper? Is it similar? Like, how do you view it?
I think obviously the travel ball world has changed. You know, when I was growing up, it was very limited travel ball. I mean, it was the elite of the elite playing, and now, I mean, there's thousands of travel ball teams. So I mean, I do think there's still a high level of travel ball, but I do think there's different levels of it. But it's good. You know, more kids get to experience, more kids get to do it, and more parents get to spend money. So.
That is true. I can vouch for all of those things. 8 district championships, 2 Final Fours, 2 state runner-ups. That's 2015 and 18. I remember the one, by the way, because we did a story on you guys when you graduated basically in your uniforms before heading down to the state championship or the state Final Four stuff. How hard is it to win a state title in softball in the state of Florida?
Yes. Well, that was also the year that I gave birth and missed the first game, the semifinal game.
Right. That's right.
So we had a lot going on that year. But no, it's you hear people talk about it, and everybody that's been there. I mean, you have to be good, but you also have to be lucky. Like, it really is a game of inches. You know, and we talked about that year in 2018. Reagan Lee, my pitcher, hit one of those little bloopers down the right field line for us to score 2 over there in Marietta. So, you know, I mean, you have to be good, but you also kind of have to be lucky. You know, like I said, we've lost twice to, Coral Springs Charter, which of course they've won 5 in a row, and he always has a good program down there. So it is what it is. We managed to beat him one year. He doesn't like when I talk about that, but we managed to beat him one year, but not when it counted. So it's rough, and it's a lot. Like, those kids, it's not, their usual, like, what they're used to doing and warming up and how they play and how they do things. And sometimes you get there and their just eyes are just wide, like deer in a headlight. So you never really know when you get there. It's anybody's game.
Randalyn Bryant with us, West Nassau softball coach, and you've put 30 plus into the college game in your 14 years at West Nassau. That's a big number. The big topic here on the show today is between social media, showcases, camps. Like, how do you get your kids to the next level? Or is it all through travel ball and networking that is usually the end game?
Mostly, when they sign and they do stuff, it's normally through travel ball. I don't ever want to take that away from the travel ball and the travel ball coaches. I feel like here it's more so just preparing them for the next level. And if that's where they want to be and that's where they want to go, finding them somewhere to go. I'm a big advocate for, if you want to go and you want to play, I don't care what level it's at, like, go do it. The big thing, these kids, and, even as a former AD, I always talk about, it's like, I want to go D1, I want to go this, I want to go that. Like, if somebody's going to pay for your school and you get to play the sport, like, go do it. Like, go enjoy yourself, like, go be a kid. Like, you only get to do this so long. And I think that's even more with the softball, because we don't have as much at the next level, or there's no, the minor leagues and the pro. I mean, you have to be the elite of the elite to play professional softball. So the biggest goal is to get your education paid for. And if somebody's going to pay for it, like, let them pay for it.
Do you think social media has ramped up a little bit in terms of helping kids, or?
I don't love the social media thing. Like, I do, and I had this conversation before with Mike Young when he was at JU, and I've also had it with Erica over there now. And she says, I kind of look at it when kids tag me. She said, I feel it, it's better for the smaller schools, the kids that, like, as far as the smaller D1 schools and stuff, or the smaller schools that, if they're really interested and they want to be here and they want to do that. But I don't like the play for the highlight thing. Like, I'm one of those old school, like, if we lost, like, I'm not putting anything on there, like, I don't care if I went 3 for 3. If we lost, like, we lost. I don't want to talk about it. But I don't feel like the kids are like that these days. And I feel like the social media sort of ruined the kind of team concept, because now it's all about what highlights do I have, not necessarily for the team. And I blame the coaches for that, not the kids. Like, that's kind of the atmosphere they've created on social media. But I do feel like it's a necessary evil. I think we've had this conversation before. I believe strongly in camp. I believe strongly if there's somewhere you want to go, realistically, like go to a camp and do that. And you, like you said, you'll get much more one-on-one time with the coach and get to talk to him and do those things than you ever will spending, that large amount of money for a showcase tournament.
Yeah, it's interesting what you just said about social media, too, because I have these thoughts all the time. Obviously, for what I do, I'm on social media all the time. But if you look at kids on social media, if I was a coach, I'd be like, wow, you never get out or never do anything wrong. And I've actually even said to, like, my kid, like, I think it would be outside the box if you would just say, yeah, you know what, I struck out my first at bat. It was a bad at bat, and then I hit a double. I came back, like, tell the whole story. Like, I'm a little surprised that kids don't tell the whole story.
Well, and it's when I think like social media has replaced the skills videos, like you used to do the skills videos, and like even the college coaches would tell you, like, I don't want it edited, like where there's only good things, like show me, if you booted a ball, that's fine. Like in a set of 10, like just leave it and keep going. But I feel like social media is kind of, taken the place of the skills video now, but it's just like the highlight reel. It's like you never really get to see the negative stuff. Like the kids live for it. Like it's like an extrinsic reward for them, like a motivator. Like, and I try to put it out there because I know what makes them tick and what makes them work. But again, like I'm like one of those that I want to put the sack bunts on there because those are just as important to me as the base hits, So like when they hit a home run, I'm like, okay, but I want to go find the kid that got on the base before you. So it was 2 RBIs instead of 1. So I don't, like I said, the social media thing sometimes like rubs me the wrong way. It's obviously positive, but it's got some negatives too. And I like to keep the team concept and not like just about one person. So I struggle sometimes with the way they do social media these days.
Yeah, it is a new school, old school barrier for sure. I think it's kind of a drug to the new school kids sometimes. It's just, boom, how quick can I get it out there? And it's just, like you said, it's not really the kids' fault. I think it's just kind of the world that they're living in, and we're all trying to figure it out, everybody. Probably coaches at the college level, kids, coaches at the high school level, and parents and everybody else. So that's part of the reason we do this show, so we can talk it out a little bit. No gate fees, presented by Nimnicht Buick GMC. Randalyn Bryant, West Nassau softball coach with us. Hey, tell us a couple more players to keep an eye on. Obviously, we talked Peyton Bass, Sid English. I tell one lefty when we used to see her in travel ball, don't pitch to her. She's really good. Like, who else you have?
Definitely Sid English. I'm actually watching her hit right now. But yeah, she can swing it most days. Not all days, but most days. She does a good job, and we got the Kardatsky girl coming up from UC, and then we go down to Kissimmee. But there's several really good players around the Jacksonville area. I feel like our JUCOs and stuff around here should be great. Like just keeping local kids, which they've done a better job at because the FSDJ, I think I have 3 there, and Hilliard has 2 there. So I do want to give a shout out to FSDJ because I feel like they have been getting a few more local kids. So that's good. Those kids are getting to stay home and getting school, paid for and getting to play. So I'm happy to see that. But no, definitely if I have to shout out, it's Sid. She hasn't committed anywhere yet, but she will because she's a tremendous talent. She's another one of those that's a very good leader on the field. So I'm happy. I'm happy she's on my team and not against me.
Yeah, she's a 2024, so she got a little time, obviously. Last thing, I got to get this thought. I think hitting, I've even seen it in just a few years of following softball, is better and better and better. Do you see that? Are kids better hitters now than they were 5 years ago?
I don't, we talked about like the balls and the bats and that kind of stuff. I do feel like we've adjusted, and I don't know if it's the film, being able to now, because everything's on Game Changer and being able to go watch it. I mean, like I said, we play Melbourne tomorrow, and we literally were just going through their stuff, trying to look at it. We faced Jazzy last year, and I don't know that film's going to help us against her. You know what I mean? But you do try to watch some of the tendencies and stuff and kind of look at those things. So I feel like it's that, in the technology has probably helped increase, being able to see tendencies and be able to see them throw before we ever get to the park. We didn't have that. I mean, we went unless somebody, we didn't have phones that filmed, let's be honest. So unless somebody had a video camera or something like that, you just had to go up there and swing it and adjust in the game. So I feel like now we get to prepare a little bit more before we show up. And, so that's the big thing. Even Game Changer, it's not always the best used, but I still get to see more than I normally would. So I think the hitting's gotten better, but I think it's with the help of one, the technology of the bats, and also obviously just technology in general.
Yeah, you still got to execute at the end of the day, and it's a very hard thing to do, as hitting a baseball or a softball. Randalyn Bryant, West Nassau, good luck heading south tomorrow to take on a very good Melbourne team. Appreciate the time.
Thank you.
That is Randalyn Bryant. Let's take a break. We come back. Is Wes Ness on the Power Poll, the High Five Power Poll here on No Gate Fees, presented by Nimnick Buick GMC. We, of course, appreciate iCryo. You can always jump in the iCryo chat chamber, and it doesn't have to be just during the show until 8 o'clock. It can be at any time. And also Davoli's House of Cards as well. Cool-looking baseball cards for our committed to the uncommitted all season long. A special shout-out to Marcel Robinson for that. When we come back, our Power Polls, we put a bow on the show, and we continue to ask and talk about the question of recruiting. Camps, showcases, social media. What's the role all of those things play in recruiting these days? No Gate Fees continues next on ESPN 690. It's March Madness at Nimnick Buick GMC on Phillips Highway. This month, all new vehicle purchasers get 5 shots from the free throw line. Each shot you make is worth $100 off your new vehicle. That's up to $500 off. Stop by the showroom. Shoot and save. Nimnick Buick GMC is Jacksonville's #1 Buick GMC dealer. It's where my family has bought 6 vehicles. The latest one in December. Never pay over MSRP. NimnickBuickGMC.com. GMC. We are professional grade.
The right to trial by jury is ingrained in our society. The right is under attack by big insurance companies. They want to strip these rights and shut the courthouse doors to all injured Floridians. I'm Mark Anajar, and I'm asking you to tell your lawmakers to oppose House Bill 837 and Senate Bill 236.
We're dealing at Best Bet St. Augustine, the only card room and sports bar in St. Augustine, Florida. With nonstop action, poker games of all limits, exciting tournaments and table games, and a sports bar showing all the action, Best Bet St. Augustine has you covered. Don't miss our delicious dining options, serving breakfast, lunch, and dinner, and our always popular freshly made sushi. Best Bet St. Augustine is located at 800 Marketplace Drive off exit 311, where I-95 and State Road 207 meet. Learn more at bestbetjacks.com.
Attention Dish customers. Dish Network dropped WFOX Fox 30, depriving you of your favorite programs, local news, weather, and sports. Call Dish now at 1-800-333-3474 and tell them to put WFOX Fox 30 back on the air. Don't let Dish keep you from the important news, sports, and entertainment programming you love. Call Dish now at 1-800-333-3474 and then switch to another TV provider.
Stogie Fest, the Southeast's premier cigar event, is back at Aromas March 24th through the 26th. It all kicks off Friday, March 24th at 6 p.m. with events throughout the evening. Saturday, enjoy the Stogie Feast, an exotic meat lovers dinner followed by beer, scotch, wine, and of course, cigar samples. Stogie Fest Sunday starts at 11 a.m. and features cigar sampling, great food, designer cars, and more. This event will sell out, so go to aromas.com to get your tickets today. That's aromas.com.
Hey pet lovers, Forever Vets has a new location just off 295 on Bay Meadows Road. Forever Vets' new central location will offer superior after-hours urgent care for your sick or injured pet. If your pet is suffering from urinary blockage, a laceration, poison, heat stroke, bite, or seizure, our loving veterinarians will be there to provide the immediate treatment your furry friend deserves. Visit our website for hours. And for the times you need a home away from home for your fur baby, Forever Vet's Central Location Pet Resort offers daycare and boarding. Our trained staff provides a happy, safe place for your pooch to play while you're away. Whether they relax in their air-conditioned VIP room or play outdoors in our huge heart-shaped pool, your four-legged baby will be treated like royalty until you return. If you're a new client, the first day of play is on us. Come tour our new facility and see everything Forever Vets has to offer or visit our website at forevervets.com.
Have you made your 2023 memory screening appointment? Annual memory screening should be part of everyone's health and wellness routine, even if you're not currently experiencing memory problems. The Alzheimer's Foundation of America offers free memory screenings every weekday with no minimum age or insurance prerequisites. Learn more about memory screenings and schedule your free appointment by contacting the Alzheimer's Foundation of America at 866-232-8484 or visit alzfdn.org.
Hey, it's Brent Martineau from Action Sports Jacks. Did you know you can watch our radio show? Yeah, video of a radio show. Just search ESPN 690 Jacks on Facebook, YouTube, and Twitter. Or follow me on Twitter at Brent A.S. Jacks. Watch the show live weekdays from 3 p.m. until 6 p.m. or listen on ESPN 690.
Welcome back to No Gate Fees with Brent Martineau, presented by Nimnick Buick GMC.
Oh, this show goes by really fast. So fast that we're going to fire up the No Gate Fees High Five Power Poll right off the rip. As we welcome you back and have about 5 or 6 minutes to talk about it. Brent Martin, O'Brien Middleton. No Gate Fees presented by Nimnik Buick GMC. Appreciate everybody at Davoli's House of Cards and iCryo as well. You can always jump in our iCryo chat chamber. Check them out at iCryo.com. We're on Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, and Twitch. We're in your car, ESPN 690, ESPN690.com, all the audio platforms and apps. So there's always a way to find us. And if you don't listen to us live, thanks for joining us a little bit later, because you can go back and listen all the time, podcast included. All right, so here's a look at the No Gate Fees High Five. We have kept Baldwin number one, almost moved Episcopal up. It's debatable who's better, like Episcopal or Baldwin, but I thought Baldwin, and again, I get a little input too from around the area. It's not just me, but it's my butt on the line when everybody wants to complain. And Baldwin has some really good wins, and they're undefeated. Episcopal has some really good wins. I think Grace Jones the best player in the area, and we have some good players, and there's some debate probably about that, but not the way Grace has been playing. They're 8-1, and their one loss is what would you say would a quality loss, a good loss. And sooner or later, this will shake itself out, but I got a feeling we're going to see Baldwin and Episcopal near the top for the entire way. So third on the list is Ponte Vedra, and dropped them a little bit below Episcopal because they haven't played because of spring break. And we'll see tomorrow. They've got a big one with Creekside tomorrow, and I'll get a front row seat to watch that one, as Ponte Vedra's been terrific, especially on the mound and defensively, as they've hardly given up a run all season. 6-0-1 start, and word is from Coach that they were going to make that game up and finish that one against Bishop Kenny. That was a 0-0 tie. Who else? We got West Nassau. We just had Coach Bryant on. She probably wouldn't like to see her team in this. Nobody wants to target on them, but we've got West Nassau right there. They continue to win, and they got a big test tomorrow against Melbourne. Providence, we've got them in. They beat Oakleaf this week. Huge win over Oakleaf this past week, and they got it done in 9 innings. So we've got them in there. University Christian, the thing about UC is they're undefeated, and we think they're really good, but they just haven't played. They've played like 5 games. So we got to see a little bit more. Sandalwood is 5-1, and Clay was in there and lost to Episcopal. Episcopal had a big win over Clay, and that was a nice matchup. Lost 5-0, so he bounced Clay out of it. All right, let's check out the baseball version and see what we have in our No Gate Fees High Five in baseball. We've got some new teams in there, and Trinity Christian stays at number 1. St. John's Country Day, number 2, and they've been in the top 5, those two teams, the entire way. Providence has lost to Trinity Christian, but they're 10-2. They bounced back with a couple of nice wins last week, really in dominant fashion. Creekside enters the conversation for the first time, and they won the 42 Classic down at Daytona Beach. Creekside's 9 wins in a row, 10-1 on the year right now, and they are playing really good baseball. I can tell you that because I watch every game. But I was told we kind of had to put Creekside in the top 5, even though I was trying to avoid it, Brian Middleton.
Wow, okay.
I mean, they're just
that good, or you just got bullied, or what?
A little bit of both. They've earned it at this point. I mean, there's really no way around it. So they're 10-1, and last week I thought a little on the lighter side schedule-wise until last week when they go beat 4 really good teams down in Daytona, including Sandalwood. That game went 10 innings to win the championship, and Sandalwood's good. We squeezed them out of there. They had a couple losses at that tournament last week. They're not bad losses. Sandalwood's very good. Oakleaf, who we've had on, we bounced them out, but just barely. I mean, this is really hard. Fleming Island, I've been trying to get them in, but Clay is really strong too right now, and we'll have to keep an eye on what Clay does the rest of the way. But if you look, even in the max prep strength of schedule, they are pretty strong. So a lot of different ways. We've got parity all over the place and more teams, and we don't want to keep it the same every week. So I think some of these teams will beat each other up along the way. But that's our No Gate Fees High Five, Power Pole, and baseball and softball here in week 3. Are we supposed to be out like right now?
You got 15 seconds.
All right. How about 10? Don't forget to check us out on YouTube, Facebook, Twitter, and Twitch, and on the podcast as well. We'll do it again next Monday. Hope you enjoy the week, everybody. No Gate Fees presented by Nimnik Buick GMC right here on ESPN 690. It's March Madness at Nimnik Buick GMC on Phillips Highway. This month, all new vehicle purchasers get 5 shots from the free throw line. Each shot you make is worth $100 off your new vehicle. That's up to $500 off. Stop by the showroom. Shoot and save. Nimnik Buick GMC is Jacksonville's #1 Buick GMC dealer. It's where my family has bought 6 vehicles, the latest one in December.